now we'll look at the definition of business analysis from IIBA's Business Analysis Body of Knowledge. So, according to IIBA's BABOK, business analysis is a process of enabling change in an enterprise. So, as business analysts, we are change facilitators or change enablers. You should keep this in mind even for any interviews that you will get onto as a business analyst, right? And how do we do this? How do we enable change in an enterprise or in any engagement or any initiative that we are put on? By doing two things: by defining needs, because we give shape and form to the needs that the business stakeholders have, in terms of models, in terms of specification documents, or whatever it is, right? So we define the needs, and sometimes we get to analyze and recommend solutions also. We might sit on the other side and look at the requirement, do a deep dive in the requirement understanding, and recommend solutions before the implementation team takes it. So we do two things predominantly as a business analyst: defining needs and recommending solutions. Now, even without a business analyst in a project context, these things will happen, right? Some kind of requirement definition will happen and some kind of solution recommendation will happen. Now, how a business analyst adds importance, or the role that they play in a project makes a difference is they do it in such a way that it adds or it delivers value to the stakeholders. So that's how, because, and how do we make sure that we deliver value to the stakeholders? We look at the context. We just don't look at the problem to be solved and come up with solutions. So no two organizations having the same problem will have the same solution, right? So you have to look at a lot of other factors: their technology landscape, the culture, the ways of working, the project methodologies they use, the kind of clientele they have. So, the lot of things that you have to look at, which is called as context, the environment in which the project is happening or the engagement is happening. So, I'd like to add, maybe when you try and learn this definition, maybe as part of this definition, you also add that deliver value to the stakeholders in a specific context. I will in a moment explain why I want you to add this word context also to the definition. Okay, so the first thing that you have to learn as part of BABOK guide is understanding what is business analysis. So business analysis is a process of enabling change in an enterprise. And how do we do that? We do that by defining needs and recommending solutions in a way that it delivers value to the stakeholders in a specific context. Now, so what we have defined here is business analysis, right, as a discipline. Now, who is a business analyst? Anybody who's doing this, anybody who's able to understand enterprise problems and recommend solutions, anybody who's driving the needs, anybody who's recommending solutions, devising strategies, all of these tasks that we do, right? Whatever we do in such capacity, we are doing business analyst, and we could be called as a business analyst, or we could have a different title also. We might be called as an architect, we might be called as a product owner, system analyst, or whatever. So if you go and look at the section 1.2 and 1.3, which I highly recommend after listening to this video, go to the BABOK guide, look at section 1.2 and 1.3, which will help you get more context around the definition of business analysis and who then is a business analyst. Now, after we've got a good understanding around this definition, we move on to something which is very, very important, called BACCM. What is BACCM? BACCM is Business Analysis Core Concept Model, which I tend to call as BABOK Superstar. So this is BABOK's star framework, and you will see this framework being used in all the 6 knowledge areas. In whatever concepts that BABOK guide tries to explain, it will start with putting the BACCM model in the front. So you have to understand, as in BABOK recommends you to think from BACCM's perspective, to think from BA core concept model perspective, all of the knowledge areas or all of the work that you do, which makes your clarity or understanding of a particular subject more easier. Now, the reason why I kept this immediately after the definition is we have seen some keywords as part of the definition of business analysis, which you will see coming in as the 6 core concepts. So this has got 6 core concepts or 6 terms, which pretty much we are going to pick from the definition. So the first thing we saw in the definition is business analysis is a process of enabling change. So change is the first core concept. Okay, what is change? Change is the act of transformation, right? Your need has to become a solution. Your input has to come in some form as an output. So that's the change, the act of transformation from need to solution. So, and it's a process of enabling change, going back to the definition, by defining needs and recommending solutions. So there comes your other 2 terms, the need and the solution. So the need is the requirement, right? The problem or opportunity that is in hand that you have to figure out how to solve that for your business stakeholder. And the solution is how this need is satisfied, one or more need is satisfied in a specific context. So need and solution are your other 2 concepts. Now we've got 3 more to go. So the third part of the definition was that delivers value to stakeholders. So there comes the other 2 of your core concepts. So value and then stakeholder. So value is what? The value is very important, right? Because the worth or importance. So a need could be solved in many ways. You could come up with an app, you could do it in a spreadsheet, or you could do a internet-based solution, or you could buy a productivity app. So there could be, for one specific need, there could be multiple ways of how you solve that for a stakeholder. But looking at all the context, looking at all the at availability in market, making an assessment, looking at the budget we have, and proposing a solution that is a best fit, it's about like how you buy a car for you. It's about how you buy a house for you. You look at a lot of your context, right? Your requirements. How do you want it to be? And then go to the market, do an assessment, and buy one, right? So same way, every need needs to get through a lot of factors before you are able to find the best fit solution. So that is the value that a BA will bring to the table. So that's value. And what, to whom we are adding this value? To the stakeholders. Stakeholders are the people for whom we are, the people who are influenced or influenced or getting influenced by the product or service that you will be building. And finally, that's why I told you to add this term also to the definition. What is that? The context. So the context is the environment or the scenario or situation in which all of this is happening. It is also a very important factor, because you are looking at the culture, the behavior, the beliefs, the demographics. So what project works in America would probably not work in Africa, or would probably have to be done a different way in Southeast Asia. So there are a lot of dynamics that you have to get through before you recommend the final solution. So, and if you see, all of these are interconnected, and while we take every knowledge area, we first understand what that knowledge area is about, right? After that, we'll come to each of these core concepts and understand, okay, for requirement analysis and design definition, say for example, that's one of the knowledge areas, right? What could be the need in our ADD? What could be the solution? And what is the change that we are driving? Who are primary stakeholders in our ADD? And what is the context in which I will be working on? And what kind of value I will be adding in requirement analysis space. So that's how we'll start thinking. So maybe at first when you read that knowledge area, it might be a bit confusing, or will not uh, will not solidify. But once you've gone through the chapter once, and then you go back to the BACCM, the first section of the knowledge area, and read the BACCM model again, a lot of things will start making sense. So it is important for you to first understand. So go to the definition, get your head around the definition first, and then come to the BACCM model, understand the 6 core concepts. And as we move on, as we navigate every knowledge area, we are going to look at BACCM model. So the way I will position is towards the end, but when you start reading the chapter from the BABOK guide, it will kind of come in the front. Okay, so these are the two important things that I wanted to cover in this specific section. See you in a bit.